Hello there, today I'll be showing y'all 3 super fun yet powerful builds you can make in the DLC. Now these builds are meant to spice up your playthrough, rampage through enemies while still having an interesting playstyle. My favorite build on today's list, I call the Lizard's Lick. We got a goddamn lizard on a stick. I know everybody wants to wield this weapon, so here is a viable build for it. This is a dexterity arcane build. Now the focus of this build will be constantly proccing and re-proccing poison, instantly dealing all its damage. So we have a poison infused lizard's greatsword. Now the lizard greatsword itself has an underwhelming attack power. It's not great. However, this bad boy has unique heavy attacks, which shoots out a little baby lizard with each heavy. You don't even need to fully charge it up. Every heavy attack will shoot this out. Now what's insane about it is that the projectile can proc the full status effect buildup of your weapon. So if I got 155 poison buildup, this projectile will deal 155 poison, which means if we perform heavy attacks at close range, it'll double the hit, instantly dealing over 300 poison in one shot. 150 for the regular heavy attack and 150 from the projectile. And you can do this with other status effects too, like blood loss and proc bleed with every strike. But here we're doing poison because we follow it up with the Poison Flower Bloom's Ash of War. This weapon skill leaps up and drop kicks the enemy,
After you're done with it.
instantly dealing all the damage that the poison would have dealt over time. So we proc the poison with heavy attacks, perform the drop kick, and boom, over 3k damage instantly. A constant re-procking of poison, explode for big damage, then reload. That's the core loop of this build, and it's pretty damn effective. Now to switch things up, I do have the backhand blade on the side. The lizard's greatsword is very stationary and low movement. It is best for individual targets. So the backhand blade offers you more speed and versatility. You can go blood loss or simply keen affinity. Either works on a dexterity arcane build. And then you can use whatever weapon art you'd like. But I just really love Swift Slash. The anime gods are smiling down on me while using this. So of course I'm using the Kindred of Rot Exaltation. And then I also have Millicent's Prosthesis. Because considering the lizard's heavy attack counts twice from the projectile, this is sufficient for activating consecutive hit buffs. Also, the backhand blade is optimal for successive attacks also. So this talisman is good for both weapons here and is activated quite often. Then I got the Shard of Alexander and the two-hand talisman. This will add a bit more damage to our lizard greatsword. So considering all of our talismans are attack based, I figured in my juice box I'll use the Green Burst tier for stamina and Opaline Hard tier for damage negation. Now I feel like they might be nerfing the status effect buildup on this projectile, because that's just crazy, man, that's crazy. The projectile only does about half the damage of a regular heavy attack, but it deals the full status buildup? I don't know, man, sounds sketchy, but hey, I'm not complaining, I love it. We're gonna want to throw all of our stats into Arcane first of all, and then Dexterity. That's pretty much all you need to make these weapons powerful. Up next, we have a Pure Caster, a super fucking nuker build, dropping electric nukes. Now this build only works in a particular way, so listen up. First off, we have the Flower Stone Gravel. Its weapon skill is lightning damage, and its unique effect is that it reduces the enemy's lightning resistance. So when you strike a target with the red lightning bolt skill, it reduces its lightning resistance by upwards of 17%. This weapon skill scales purely with arcane. So you focus on your arcane level, upwards of 55 arcane, and then your faith level, around 40 faith, and finally have a minimal strength level simply to meet the requirements for the Gravelstone Hammer. This will, firstly, make the Flowerstone Gravel's weapon art a fucking beamer, dude. It's like an alien is dropping laser beams down from the mothership. A high arcane level will have this dealing 2,000–3,000 damage easily. And then we use the Dragon Communion Seal to cast lightning spells. So we're casting with the Dragon Communion Seal, but carry the Gravelstone Seal in our other hand, simply to receive its boost to Dragon Cult incantations. Now this actually works, because the Dragon Communion is scaling with our arcane level, and then we have sufficient faith to cast these lightning spells. All the while getting that 17% lightning damage resistance buff from the Flowerstone Gravel. This weapon skill is why all of this is worth it. And it does have a pretty far reach, which is great because you want to fight from a distance with this build. Use the weapon art, which lowers the lightning resistance on that target, then follow up with a Knight's Lightning Spear. This will be our main spell. The Lightning Spear is the star of the show. It deals incredible stance damage. However, this is optimal fighting from a distance. So up close we have other incantations, like the Honed Bolt, Ancient Dragon's Lightning Spear, Lanciac's Glaive, all that. Though I will admit, you can get screwed in close encounters, which is why I recommend carrying a medium shield in the left hand. You can use the shield and hammer to fend them off, get some guard counters going on. I am also wearing the Death Knight armor set, which buffs the Dragon Cult incantations. Now this is important here, you want to make sure you're wearing this set. Then first off, I'm using Godfrey's icon, as this will benefit most of our incantations, as well as the Flowerstone weapon skill. This weapon art is chargeable, so it will also get buffed by Godfrey's icon. And then I got Lightning Scorpion Charm, obviously, Flock's Canvas Talisman to buff the spells, and finally Shard of Alexander. And then in my juice box, we got Lightning Crack Tier and Opaline Heart Tier because we definitely could use some extra damage negation. So as I said before, our priority is our arcane level. This will give us the bulk of our damage. And then we just need to meet the requirements for faith, and finally a bit of strength. You will certainly want a high mind level as well, because everything we do consumes FP. And by the way, the initial idea that gave birth to this build came from the mind of the big bad Dinkle Chad from within our Elden Ring Discord, so shout out to him. So the strategy here is nuking your target before they can even get close to you. You use the Flowerstone Bolt weapon skill, then swap over, dual wield both Sacred Seals, and nail them with full power Lightning Spear. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Now here we have a very simple build that is easy to create, yet still powerful and fun. We have the Great Sword of Solitude. I believe they designed this weapon to excel at the breaking stance. First of all, it's weapon art Solitary Moon Slash. This gotta be dealing upwards of 40 stance damage in total. 40 stance damage is a lot. And secondly, it comes with an extraordinarily high guard boost and damage negation, making guard counters a viable option with this greatsword. So it's the double Spankarooski. It got the strong weapon art plus guard counters, dealing heavy poise damage and easily breaking stance. Therefore, we will buff and capitalize on critical strikes in several ways. But before I get into the talismans, one of the main elements to this build that makes it so powerful is the two cracked tiers. The deflect tier and the blood-sucking cracked tier. I'm sure most of you already know what's good with the deflect tier, heavily boosting our guard counter damage if you perform the deflect correctly. And then the blood-sucking tier will boost all your damage by 20%, so it makes a significant difference. The problem is that it sucks away 1% of your HP per second. And so to mitigate this, we have the Bestial Vitality spell, which passively heals you over time. So I do have the Fire Affinity Misericord in the offhand to fully capitalize on critical strikes. Using the Fire Infusion gives us the highest attack power, as this is a strength build, plus we are using the Flame Grant Me Strength buff. So for talismans, we have two setups here. The boss fight setup, then the exploring the world setup. So for boss fights, we definitely want the Blade of Mercy talisman, boosting our overall attack power by 20% for 20 seconds after each critical strike. Then the dagger talisman, and the curved sword talisman for guard counters. But then for exploring the world, you will not be performing critical strikes as often, because you'll be killing enemies too quickly. So you can replace the 2 critical strike talismans with Shard of Alexander, Dragon Crest Shield. Then finally I have the Great Jar talisman, so I can wear this heavy Solitude armor set. Then we need a 70 strength level, as the Great Sword of Solitude solely scales with strength. Now because strength is all we need, this allows us to throw all the rest of our stats into vigor and endurance. I got like 60 vigor and over 30 endurance. So now it is your turn, my friend. Please comment below any changes or upgrades you would make to these builds here. What build are you currently using? Anything like that. And please drop a like if you made it this far in the video. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you later.